problems we have in India, like lack of infrastructure, different kind of disease burdens, matched this with our portfolio, and then came up with a number of different ideas.
And Gerd, what are this is not an easy journey. So what are the reasons? Could you describe whether there were any barriers internally or externally, or what were the sort of problems that companies normally face in going down this journey?
I wouldn't say from our perspective there were no problems at all. So we got a lot of support from within the company, also from the headquarters with whom I discussed it. I mean, when I shared the idea with colleagues in the headquarters especially, they immediately came up with many ideas what we could do. And I more or less had to tell them, let's analyze what is the best situation. Otherwise, I mean, we could have immediately started to try something out.
So all positive then?
All positive.
Okay, definitely. Great. So let me then come to Bodin. So going now from Bangladesh and France and India now to Thailand, what is the context there? Can you tell us a little bit about how do companies engage in social business there? What is the work that you're doing?
Okay, I will just give you an example of what we are doing in Thailand. But before I give example, you have to understand that social business is a team sport. It's not something that people are doing, by themselves. So in Thailand, what we are doing like this, okay? I'll give you the example. We start up with the problem. Right now in Thailand, we have the problem of rubbers, the price of rubber, which is going down, okay? Because people start using a lot of synthetic rubbers. So we have Thailand, Indonesia, and Malaysia. It's basically 3 countries that have, I think 60-70% of the world rubber market. So how can we use to help the farmer? So we go to the corporate. Okay, we sell the idea of social business, but corporate will not basically want to get involved that much because what's the point of doing it? So we are asking and looking for the company that can use the rubber to manufacturing some product. So we found out that, I'll give you an example. This is the one company that we found. This is the like a block. Okay, when you walk on the pavement, you see there's a concrete block. Okay, but this company can manufacturing the block from para rubbers. Okay, so then what? Then we go to the government because in order for them to use this one, the government don't want to use it because if they use the concrete block, it's less expensive. Okay, so how do we do it? Then we talk to the government. Government set up the policy or talk to the district government to allow them to write up the TOR or term of reference that allow them to purchase or to buy this kind of block that's more expensive price that they are used to do it. And then we go back to the company that manufactures this, and then we lock it with them that you have to buy directly from the co-op or the company or the people or the farmer that are engaged into the social business project. So in the other words, okay, if we do this alone, okay, things will never happen. There's a 3 parties that have to get involved. And as the university coming in, university become a liaison or become a people or a mechanism to drive this to happen. So basically, social business is also the work that cannot be done alone. So I think this is just one simple example. And at the end, okay, the price of the para wood is going up, but this is not the only example. But what we are doing, because we are trying to create the demand side, okay, for the para rubber. Another project is that if you know the railroad, okay, the railroad, and then they ask the wood that as a block that you put the rail on it, okay, the sleeper. So in Thailand now they have the project that they want to build a high-speed train. They want to have a parallel railway, increase the railway alongside throughout the country. So between the railway and the sleeper, there should be some kind of absorber, and that's the para wood. That's the rubber that use the absorption. Before in Thailand, we used to import it. And because they have a lot of companies in Thailand try to manufacturing and try to get into the business, but the railroad companies say that I cannot do it because I'm afraid if something happens, I have to take a full responsibility for it. So in that case, we have to work with Ministry of Industry. So Ministry of Industry come out with the spec, okay, and then have come out with a standard that allow, okay, the railway to use it. And this is also international standard and also the local standard. And after that, then we talk to the Ministry of Industry and the Prime Minister office to make sure that whoever get the job, okay, of building the railway or subcontractor, they have to also purchase it, okay, from the group of the farmer, okay, and to bring in the rubber into the program. So another example like this is this. So Kasetsart University, we are a big university. We have 65,000 students. Okay, we are public university, and our job is basically to integrate all these things to happen. Okay, so this is the work of social business. This is the work of Yunus Center in Thailand are doing. And in Thailand, we have 2 Yunus Center. We have one in Asian Institute of Technology, and that center is basically commercialize the idea. Okay, we tell them, train people. At Kasetsart University, we basically implement the idea. So this is the example of how we are working with the corporate social business in Thailand. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So clearly there is a very important role. What you're saying is that it can't be done by one actor. That there are many people that have to come together, many different sectors that need to come together to make this happen. And that's the role that a university really plays. Gerd, I actually wanted to dig in a little bit deeper and ask you about the idea that you might be piloting. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, when we analyzed the situation about infrastructure in India, one of the things we figured out was the main problems are affordability, accessibility, and quality of care. And for all the 3 different aspects, we had an idea how to address it. The most important, finally, we said for us, is the quality of care. And quality of care, of course, has to do a lot with the topic of education. So the idea that we have is to get into a social business where we offer training, education, skills for radiologists and also laboratory diagnostics. So what we also did is, in principle, we looked at our core competences, which are in diagnostics imaging and laboratory diagnostics, and then looked what kind of profiles are required in terms of skills. And as there is a significant shortfall, hopefully we can contribute in the future to change the situation.
Thank you. Very exciting. We're looking forward to the next plenary next year where we can really talk about how it was implemented on the ground.
Hopefully, yes.
Great. So now let me come to the second frame, which is how do we bring money into spending on sustainable development goals, creating the world of 3 zeros. So Giles, let me come to you. You are someone who, as you say, bridges the worlds of corporate and non-profit. Can you tell us about what motivated you to set up the GII and what are the sort of problems that it's solving?
Great, thanks Aarti, and good morning everyone. Absolute privilege to be here as someone who changed their career after reading Social Business and Banker to the Poor, and someone who also very frequently in presentations talks about the great work that Danone's doing. It's a privilege to be at a Grameen conference and sitting next to Marie from Danone. So Global Impact Initiative, what we do is we work with family offices, foundations and pension funds to create impact investments. And impact investments that have the dual purpose of a financial return and establishing social benefit, creating social benefit. So we're working across a range of different impact areas. All our work is mapped to the SDGs. And we're working on areas such as women and girls, renewable energy, the arts, Indigenous issues, a whole range of really interesting social impact areas that, as I said, has that dual purpose of financial return and social impact. How the business was formed was I'd spent 20 plus years in funds management, working largely for global investment managers. But simultaneously, I'd spent 30 plus years working, volunteering in the not-for-profit sector for organisations like World Vision and Amnesty International, to theatre companies, dance companies, cricket, baseball, and a whole host of other not-for-profits. And what I was getting increasingly frustrated about was the abundance of great ideas that exist in the not-for-profit world that have no capital, and the lack of good ideas in the corporate sector that have enormous amount of capital. And so Global Impact Initiative's role is to bring those two worlds together. So, those two worlds that exist, and get the not-for-profit world talking to the corporate sector, and vice versa, all with the express aim of creating social impact.
You're creating a new fund for women and girls. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Why is it important to invest in women and girls?
I've always held the view that it's the right of the oppressed to speak up, but it's the right of those witnessing to speak out. And the inequality that exists even today, right across the world, particularly for women, is still unacceptable. We have 50% of the population that don't get the same opportunities as the other 50%. And so what this strategy does, it is a strategy that can work in a family office environment, a foundation environment, a pension fund environment. It, like all our strategies, can scale, so we can accept a lot of money into this particular strategy. But what this strategy does is invests in listed companies that are progressive towards women in the workforce. So companies that are progressive towards women in terms of having women on the board, women in senior management, diversity policies, family-friendly policies, etc., etc. We then take the income from that portfolio and we put it into social impact areas for girls, specifically girls' health, education, nutrition, and social and economic empowerment. And so through that process, we will invest in programs with the UN, with Grameen, with the Malala Fund, all with the express aim of how do we accelerate social impact for girls, but doing it through an environment, specifically investing in a listed portfolio that then generates income for these social impact initiatives.
Thank you. Congratulations. Fantastic. Now coming across to China, then you've created a